Is it as ominous as the Pink Floyd album cover Animals in the background?
I don't know it, but
like a wicked mean factory, you know? The encroachment of technology on society and enslavement of humanity to machines, no? Let's begin. What's cracking, guys? Omar Isuf here, back with another video, back in my backyard here. Today to talk about my favorite topic, being a failure. And I want to really be clear in this video when we talk about training to failure. Mass Monthly Application in Strength Sports recently published a new review or a take on a study that examines training to failure. And the short summary here would be that if you're an experienced lifter, it seems likely, it's still inconclusive, but keeping a few reps short of failure at the least is as effective as going to failure, even when you don't train as frequently. And this might be a new revelation. You see, it's been making the rounds recently, something called effective reps, meaning that when training, the only truly effective reps are the last few reps you do in a set. So if you do a set of 10, reps 7, 8, 9, 10 are far more important than 1, 2, 3, 4. But this study is very interesting because they took a look at subjects. There were 15 individuals, I think, that completed the study. Their average training experience was 7 years, and their strength and isometric hold at around their knee was 900 pounds on average. These are some strong, trained individuals. And that's the problem with some prior studies, the applications when it comes to the rest of the population or to experienced lifters, is that a lot of them were untrained, which means that untrained lifters respond slightly differently than a novice, someone that actually has a little bit of experience, someone that's an intermediate, or someone that's an advanced lifter. And so taking a look at those who have been lifting for a while, the conclusions kind of make sense for those that know a bit about training. You see, what they did, they took these two groups and they had them train 3 times a week. And when they trained 3 times a week, one group went to failure, not on their first or second set. They went to high RP, rate of perceived exertion. So they're training hard. And on the third set, they went right to failure, so absolute failure. And they only trained 3 times a week. I think they did 6 sets when it came to the quads, so they weren't overtraining here. They were doing a lower volume approach. And remember, the old thought process is a lower volume approach. What you want to do if you have lower total volume, lower frequency, up that intensity. Okay, makes sense. So on the third set, last set, best set, Steve Koch, they took their set to failure. And then the second group had a much lower relative intensity, meaning they would calculate a percentage of their 1 rep max, and they would go several reps short of that failure. They're trained in lower intensities, and they would be well away from failure. So they wouldn't even be approaching it. They wouldn't be at an RP 8. And what they found in these experienced lifters, people that had been training for 7 years on average, they experienced greater hypertrophy when training short of failure. So you would think to yourself, all right, these are experienced lifters here. Would they not respond better if they only could train 3 times a week to go all out? And the answer was no. And interesting enough, when you think about this, when you think about a lot of the people that are making a lot of progress in the gym, we know when it comes to strength, and I had that video before contrasting a pure powerlifting style training where you're definitely never approaching failure. You're going maybe to an RP 9, to a bodybuilder where on occasion it's okay, especially if it's a unilateral work, if you're doing isolation, if you're just doing bicep curls, it's not like you're gonna have this systemic fatigue that's just gonna overload you. But powerlifters know this, where they have to keep several reps short of failure. But this is related to hypertrophy, and in the studies, I think there's 2. I'm gonna link mass in the description for those that are interested in reading further. The 2 studies that took a look at subjects training to failure that were experienced, training to failure and not training to failure, it elicited a greater hypertrophic response in those people that were short of failure, even when frequency wasn't high. And that is the difference. Why is it that in some studies, in particular untrained individuals, that training to failure seems to be better for growth? I would put forth, and it depends, there's a lot of variables here, again, it's inconclusive, that beginners don't know how to push themselves, and that they also have not become neurally efficient. When you've been training for 7 years, you know how to squat. And that's why do you think the vast majority of powerlifters, you never hear about them as, yeah man, I went to failure on my squats today, 4 or 5, I did max reps, and I got 8, and I almost peaked. It's like, nah man, I set a RP 7 or RP 8, because you want to accumulate that good training volume over time. And so there is that difference between those that are natural and those that are enhanced, where recoverability is different when you are enhanced. And that's why training to failure, you can recover faster. And that's one of the key distinctions likely between a natural and someone that's not natural. And that's why you can't apply what you hear from the big dogs. We have to take a look at the research, and it seems maybe the more trained, the more experienced you are, that you can stop short of failure, and it doesn't have to be this highlight reel you're training. You want to get better over time. Progressive overload, the principle of getting better always remains. And so don't get that twisted. Just because you're not going to failure doesn't mean that you're not trying to make progress. It just means that every single training session is not a rocky montage. And a quick little side that I want to say, several years ago, I trained with Sean Kelly, owner of Fortis Fitness. This was when I began doing more serious strength training, and I was following the Ed Cohen deadlift program. Deadlift went up 70 pounds in 10 weeks. Biggest strength gains in my life when it came to the deadlift. I followed a basic linear periodization program for bench press, and I increased my bench press by 30 pounds in the same time period. I followed Westside, and I'm not insulting Westside at all, just the particular training approach that I tried, where I worked up to a max every single week, and I'm talking to RP12, where it would take 8 seconds on the concentric, where I damn near almost puked afterwards. I was seeing stars. And I did it for 12 weeks, where I trained very hard. I was diligent with my training, and it was the one lift that, interesting enough, did not go up. And this is N equals 1 sample size. But what I'm saying is, I think most people from training for a long period of time kind of know this, and that's why you have that chasm between inexperienced lifters that might read something online, and then the wealth of lifters. They're like, yeah, you know what? I think stopping short of failure for the most part is a good idea. It's not saying that you can't train to failure, but for most people and most goals and experienced lifters, you probably want to keep a few reps short of failure. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here. I got to go swimming in my backyard. This is a pool right here, Severin. I don't know if they know this. And I said factory, but let's face it, it's a mansion, because we got that Bollywood physique. Thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you so much for the response recently for us uploading more frequent videos. People seem to be enthusiastic. We're going to take that as a positive sign and continue to do it. If you should happen to like this video, like the damn video. And I'll see all you guys, my rascals, in that next video. Peace. You know what we need to do, Severin? We need to show them how many wasps are out there. They're not bees, my friend. They were around. It's a war out here.
I don't see it.
There's literally, hold on. Just wait for it, bro. We're in the iron jungle right here. You realize that.
Eat your vegetables, eat your vegetables, eat your fucking vegetables.